You can go to work, ride a packed subway, and sit in a room full of colleagues while feeling entirely alone. Most of us are simply surviving the day, maintaining a functional exterior while our internal isolation remains intact. The story of My Mister captures this state by focusing on the details we usually ignore, the heavy rhythm of a commute and the weight of a person's footsteps. It mirrors the silent psychological suffering that defines many modern lives. This kind of exhaustion isn't caused by a lack of sleep or a demanding schedule. It is the result of carrying the psychological weight of your own life without a single person to witness the burden. Dong-hoon is a middle-aged structural engineer being slowly crushed by an invisible pressure. He absorbs the relentless demands of his corporate and familial expectations, choosing to process his wife's infidelity and his brother's failures in total silence. Ji-yeon lives with a more visceral brutality. She is trapped by extreme poverty, inherited debt, and a loan shark who uses physical violence to maintain control. For her, every waking moment is dedicated to the mechanics of basic survival. Both characters have reached a point of total emotional depletion. To endure their respective worlds, they have built thick, impenetrable armor, making themselves as cold and unreadable as possible. This creates a situation where neither person has any emotional currency left to give. They are both drowning, yet they are the only ones positioned to recognize the struggle in the other. Their connection begins not through conversation or a shared task, but through a one-sided observation that forces a confrontation with the truth. Ji-yeon begins wiretapping Dong-hoon's phone as part of a corporate sabotage plot. Through her headphones, she listens to his private sighs, his weary walks home, and the moments when his stoic facade cracks in the dark. Hearing his hidden exhaustion forces Ji-yeon to see him as something other than a target. She realizes that despite their different social standing, he is navigating the same landscape of despair that she is. The first movement toward healing occurs when you realize your misery is not a solitary experience. It is the discovery that someone else is operating on your exact frequency of pain. In this context, empathy is stripped of its soft, sentimental connotations. It is presented as a raw, radical acknowledgement of another person's humanity. This empathy manifests as a series of quiet, defensive actions. They begin to protect one another from a corporate and social system that views the vulnerable as disposable assets to be used and discarded. By acting as a shield for one another, their dynamic shifts. They transition from being isolated victims into a partnership based on mutual protection. When you defend someone, you validate their existence. You prove to a victim that their suffering is finally visible to another human being, which provides the first crack in the cycle of societal abuse. Their dynamic eventually centers on unconditional solidarity, a commitment to another person that persists regardless of the circumstances. This isn't a story where a powerful person solves a weaker person's problems. There are no romantic grand gestures or sudden windfalls of wealth that make their trauma disappear. The psychological relief comes from a simple, unshakable stance. I am on your side. This support is offered even when the other person is at their most flawed or their most desperate. Absolute acceptance provides the psychological safety required for both characters to begin dropping their survival armor. For the first time, the energy they spent on defense can be redirected toward their own recovery. Non-judgmental solidarity acts as a counterforce to shame, which sits at the root of their isolation. By removing the need to hide, they remove the primary barrier to their own healing. The conclusion of their journey avoids easy answers. The debts Ji-yeon owes don't simply vanish, and the fractured pieces of Dong-hoon's family life aren't instantly mended. Real healing is the return of basic human agency. It's the ability to breathe deeply, to smile without effort, and to walk down a street with a sense of purpose rather than a sense of dread. Most stories demand a loud, transformative ending. My Mister finds more power in the quiet reality of two people who have simply regained the strength to keep going. Recovery is not about escaping the world or finding a perfect environment. It is about reclaiming the internal psychological baseline required to exist within it. The core of this story is that you don't have to be perfect or powerful to help someone else. Offering quiet solidarity and dropping your own armor is often the most significant thing you can do for another human being. Look at the people around you. There is likely someone in your life who doesn't need a solution or a savior, but simply needs to know that their struggle is seen and that you are on their side. There is a unique beauty in shared brokenness. If this look at the anatomy of healing resonated with you, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that mirror our lives. Thanks for watching.